All right, you know what time it is. It's your boy Kamal Hart on the chart, and we're going bar by bar. So a lot happened in the overnight. Iran dropped them bombs. That's not funny, but there was an attack on a U.S. base. That's totally not funny, guys. This was real serious. I was actually real concerned when I read the news. But what can you do other than other than laugh? You know what I mean? If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and there's nothing we gonna do about it. So until then, we can still make money on the charts and in the markets, and that's what we're gonna do. So um, starting off the bat, that's what kind of led to this really big down move, and then really before the night was over, the market recovered. So it wasn't a lasting impression or anything. But when the markets do this, it's a little tough to chart the trend because you see how there's definitely like a really tight channel going up right through there, and I don't really like using that one, even though it's there. Uh, I I primarily want to get a more 45-degree angle, and you can see like this move that's a little bit closer to the angle we want. Um, so I'm just go off these highs, probably something like that, and then see if I can catch something off the lows. And you can see right there off the lows, we get a pretty decent, that's pretty decent. So with all this said, I came in just as this bar set up. That's a failed second entry short, but you're way too close to the highs. That's not where you want to take that type of trade. So that when that reversed and then swung below these lows, I'm going to go ahead and put a micro trend on there and then let it play out to see what we get. See, like right there on this breakout, that's a failed second entry long right there. First entry fails, second entry fails, but you're going right into that trend line. Um, it might work, but that's just not where you want to take that trade. So I was just waiting, seeing what would happen. And then here we get that. This is more so what I'm talking about is because if we're going to use this channel line, this is our first breakout. So, and that's a really good signal bar. But still yet, it's not a second entry yet. So we're going to wait on the higher low and try to get in on the higher low. So I'll zoom back in. So there, get a nice push. That's a good push. See, I will go right through that EMA. That's a good look. And then right there, that's where I took my first trade of the day. That's the higher low. This bar is inside of that bar, which is inside of that bar. But you can tell that we set up a little bit on that lower side. I mean, it could be lower, but we're expecting a retest of these highs. So I just entered on a limit right there, and I got the scalp. And then for my runner contract, I really, I mean, I wanted to be as aggressive as possible, and I just took this measured leg because I saw leg one correction, leg two correction. So I just took this leg and brought it over, and that got me a target way up there. So really, I had my second contract up there, hoping to get a swing, and it works. Starts to stack up sideways a little bit, but then when it pulls back, I exited with a break even plus one. So I could have managed this a little better, maybe by exiting up here when I saw the double stack up. But I wanted to give it time and room to work. So, but when it pulled back, I wasn't going to let it turn into a loss. So I just exited that one. And then I re-entered when it broke above there. It's about to get kind of messy, so bear with me. I re-entered right there because off this low, that's a failed first entry, failed second entry. But obviously, you can see that it broke above and then closed back inside. So that's the first sign that this might be a kind of like a trap trade, and this setup isn't going to work. But when I was trading it, I kind of ignored it, to be honest. I don't know. I had a really strong bias that it'd be bullish, and I just ignored it, which I shouldn't have done. I should have exited one tick above right there and looked for another entry. So what ended up happening is that on this next bar, it broke below and then came back to the high. So that I kind of liked seeing that, and that really helped me stay in. And then when it got that push, I was able to get my first contract out. And then, like I said, my second contract was way up here. But if you pay attention, this is just a reset of this failure trade. So when this bar broke above and then closed back inside of this bar, that's like another sign that it's still not ready to go higher. So with that second contract I had, I should have exited right there, one tick. I had two chances and two signs that this setup wasn't going to work, and I just ignored them today. So on that pullback, I ended up getting stopped out one tick below this signal bar um, on my second contract. So basically, I made $50 and then I lost $100. So net negative 50. Not too bad, but it could have been avoided. So then we get this kind of nice signal bar, but that's just the first entry to the high. So I'm not trying to get in yet. But here I go, I got in. And that's because it's sitting on that EMA. The way I saw it, honestly, is that because these failure trades, since the failure failed, and then it set up a nice signal bar on the EMA, I just kind of looked at it like a re-entry pattern. It's a little bit early, not gonna lie. It's a little too early to get into this trade, but that's kind of how I was looking at it when it set up. And lo and behold, it stops me out and then goes right back to the highs. Now, during the session, this bar closed on the high, so it looked a little better. After refreshing it, it doesn't look as nice. But essentially, that was just like I said, I had such a strong bias. Like these two trades, I should have probably skipped. Both these trades here, I should have probably skipped. But I just had this feeling that we were going to test the highs. So I was just looking for any entry I could to get in. And while this was happening, the market was actually being halted, I think, because the bars were like pausing for a minute, and then you would still see your profit and loss going up and down, but there was no movement on the bars themselves. So I'm assuming that was the price being halted because people were jumping in and stuff like that at the open. So I re-entered there, and that one took off for me. So I was able to get the scalp, and then on that runner, I'm trying to hold this runner up to these highs, and see, we're starting to get the stack up right there. I had my stop at break even +1, and we're just going sideways. So I was just hoping that even if we broke below this area, it wouldn't be by much, and we could kind of continue higher. But in reality, we get this kind of reversal bar. I should have really been thinking about exiting, and then boom, when it breaks below, because it broke below kind of hard, I didn't get my stop out at +1. I got my stop out at break even. So, that kind of sucks. But I definitely could have exited this trade below these lows. That might have been a better exit, in my opinion. So either way, we continue on. And now we get another kind of like push high. You see how we're never going below this EMA. So, my trade idea is still valid. It's just the way the prices are moving. I'm just not able to catch that runner, that big runner that I'm looking for. But the prices are still working higher. And then right here, Boom. That's a failed second entry off this low. First entry fails, second entry fails, boom, I'm in right there. Plus, that's a pretty small bar, so the risk was low on that entry. Um, and I like how when it broke above, it closed above, so that kind of keeps me in, and that had me thinking that even though we have this sideways movement, we're finally gonna go get this test of the high. So I like that trade, and then boom, there's my scalp, and there's my my runner. And you know, I didn't hold my runner up to my measured move just because we had so much congestion and stack up and those little reversals. I decided that I would just exit a tick before the highs, uh, just to lock in the profits on this trade. And of course, once I lock in the profits, that's when it actually gives me some of the move I was looking for in the first place. So go figure, you know. Um, so now we kind of get we for sure now have that breakout and a new high. So we need to be careful going long now and really just take quality setups. Like I wouldn't be interested in entering there and see how we're going sideways. So now, you know, I see this sideways action and I'm thinking, okay, we have the breakout, a new high, and we're entering a trading range as the market decides where it wants to go next. So I probably would put my maybe something like there. See that? Yeah, that looks good. Got to bounce right off that line. So right there, I'm using that range as my my new context lines. And we get a breakout to the high side and then quickly reverses. So we're just waiting. See, we got that lower high, but that's back in right there. So we don't want to sell this. Not yet. Got that push lower, push lower. And what I want to see is I want to see that this gets some sort of break higher and then reversal back down, and then I'll start to respect this line. But until then, I'm still just looking at this as a range. It broke out the high side, it's breaking out the low side, it's probably going to snap back at some point. But it keeps going. So here's that break higher that I was talking about, and this break higher is actually a second entry long, but with this much bearish momentum, it's too risky to take that. And then boom, see how that breaks lower? Right there, I look at that as, okay, now we have something going lower, and I feel comfortable looking for shorts. And that's, you know, if you would have seen this um, real time, this is actually a reversal pattern. So you could have gone short right there. Once it broke below, you could have been thinking about going short right there. Boom, right there. And you get what barely what you need. Let's see, 43.25 to 41. So yeah, so you get what you need plus some. Um, Nothing too major though. And then right there, you know, it's hard to see it because of this signal bar, but off this low, that's first entry, and then once it broke below there, that's the second entry. But that's not a great signal bar. But if you're being aggressive and you saw that, maybe your chart had a better setup or something, um, you might have taken that short as well. And that was a nice trade. That definitely got you what you wanted. Just for the sake of a measurement, let's see how close to a measured move we can get. If that's leg one, and you see this is a two-legged pullback to the EMA, first leg, pullback, second leg, then you got that second entry short. So let's see if we make it down there. Got close, but not close enough. So right there, now I'm going to start drawing my line the other way now. So, and if you look on the bigger picture, it's kind of like a range, getting some bounces in this area, some bounces up there. So it's kind of like a range on the bigger picture. But these smaller lines are going to keep you on the right side regardless. So we're below the EMA, we're closing above the EMA, and we have one swing higher. I like that for a micro trend. Plus, on this channel, we already had a break and a move to a new low. So I'm done. I'm done looking for the shorts. And now I'm transitioning into looking for longs. So I'll probably have something like that on my chart. Had this break lower, a push higher. You see how now we get that breakout side and we're coming back to test these highs. Just all what we would expect. You know, and it's like this is a failed second entry, but it broke lower and it didn't snap back within a bar. You know, sometimes if it breaks lower then reverses on that same bar, I'd say okay, it's okay that it broke lower. But in this scenario, into the EMA, it broke lower. It just felt too risky buying that, but it would have worked. So what we'll do is we'll use this swing low as a new low because you know it's lower than that low. So now we're going to look for that failed second entry or a second entry off this low. Got a push. That's the first entry. See this pullback? That's a pretty deep pullback, and then that's a really big signal bar. It looks nice, but it's too big. I wouldn't risk taking this trade unless I can maybe get in with a limit order, so I can limit the risk on that bar. But see how that just shot off. You wouldn't have if you didn't even enter this with a stop. I for sure would not have entered on a stop. But the only way to have gotten that trade is on a stop. So that's just one you got to skip. And that one shoots off. And I think this is right around when Trump started talking. Now that I think about it, not that Trump, you know, nothing about Trump is going to help you get into this trade, but just to be aware, when you saw this big move higher, um, he was he was speaking, and then see how we have three swings. I want to see if that is a good valid trend line, like off there. I just don't know off the highs. We don't really have it. We don't have a good place off the highs. Maybe that. Maybe. But you know, now that this set up, you know, if you get a break above, that's going to be our failed second entry short off this low, right? Even though this isn't a failure, for all intents and purposes, it works the same. But if it breaks above here, we're pretty close to those highs. That's going to be a little risky. See how it did that? And see how it broke above and then closed back inside? So right there, you're thinking, okay, tighten your stop and then you know, get the break even plus one ready. But you would have just gotten stopped out. So, you know, the main reason we're not loving that trade is because, you know, we're so close to the high and we're coming off this high side channel. See how we had that channel? We're coming right off that high side channel. Just it's really similar. In fact, this trade, although we didn't talk about it because it was a little bit before the day started, this this failure pattern is really similar to this failure. It sets up right at the highs, and there's not really enough room to scalp out before the highs. That's just not a good place to take that setup. So you get the pullback, and then right here you get a second entry long. See off this high, first entry, second entry. And I like this because after this trade fails, it goes right to the EMA and then sets up a nice strong signal bar. I like that. And that's off our trend line. You know, you get just enough for a scalp. You don't get much on that one though, which is a bummer. Let's see if you really even get the scalp. Yeah, you get the scalp. And if you entered on a stop, you would have got the stop. But you don't get much on that, but you know, it's okay. Then right there, given the context of the day, you know, this is definitely a reversal pattern through here, right? Once it broke below right there, That would have been, and that's, see, that's a sign. Like, that's kind of the only time that I scratch trades, is that if I'm in long and then I see the reversal pattern, once it breaks below, I want to exit. I don't want to ride out a reversal pattern. So I would have tried to exit my my second contract once I saw this bar set up and it broke below. I'm trying to get out. But right there, you have that reversal pattern, and you're getting a move lower. Um, you know, the overall market is higher, but for this short-term move, we want to see maybe a break outside, then a move lower, and then a continuation higher. So that's just to keep you on the right side. See, that's that break outside. It's trying to test our lows. That's a second entry short just off there, but it's into the EMA. You're not looking to go short at all, but just if you see it, it's right there. See how that fails? See right there, when that fails, that's a good sign. Now, if we can get one more push down that fails, we're going to take that trade. Boom, right there. Right there. That's the trade we want. So let's see if that works. I like how it closed above. You know, it didn't close back inside. It's a, you know, the first break. We're going to at least try to test these highs. And then in the best case scenario, um, we probably have leg one, and then the possible leg two. So you might have a target there. And then there's definitely another one, right? Because this could be leg one, these two legs, and then leg two is really somewhere up there. So I'd have probably two targets after entering this trade. Those are going to be nice trades. Goes right to the highs, so you get that one pretty easily. And that hits your first target. You don't even get a break below. So that would have been so easy to hold. There's not even a single break below. So you're just, you know, what I try to do is when a trade works out this well, I look for my exit strategy. I haven't talked much about my exit strategies, but on another video, maybe I can explain exactly what those are. But what I will do is when I see the exit strategy on this trade, I'll describe it. But you know, we hit target one, so you might exit here. But since we don't have any break belows, I'm definitely going to try to hold it until this higher one or until I get a reversal pattern. So that's our first break below. That's cool. See how it pushes higher? That's what we want. Push higher, almost there. And, you know, let's see if you get it. Yeah, so you get it right there on that bar. So, you know, you don't really get an exit signal until you hit your target. So that's a that was a really good trade. Really good trade. So we're pushing higher. Now it's getting too aggressive to keep buying this, so we just have to kind of wait it out, let it pull back, and then set something up that we can use. Here's that pullback, the beginning of the pullback. That's a first entry. It's not really off our EMA. It's not off our trend line. We're not too interested in that. There's like some matching. There's some matching bottoms right here. So if you want to be really aggressive, you could say, okay, that's failed first entry. See that bar, how it broke below, then reversed. So that's the failed first entry short. And then this is the failed second entry once it breaks above. But see how it broke above and then closed back inside this bar? If you entered that, you're probably gonna have to exit within a tick because it you know, it's giving you a reversal kind of bar. And it goes higher, but just the way it's set up, I probably would have had to exit sooner than I would have liked. You get a little push higher. Get a little push higher. Going sideways. inside of that. Well, that bar isn't inside of that bar, but you're definitely going sideways. We just gotta wait. Now this is a pullback that we like and that we can use. Although we already have this break and a move to a new and a giant move to a new high, so um, we gotta be careful going long. Gotta be real careful. Like that. That's a first entry. A failed break lower. Let's wait to see if you get a second entry. See how you're going sideways right there? And then you get a break higher. That's not what you're looking for. We'll zoom in. And then here you get a higher low, but it broke above, so this becomes our signal bar. It's not a good setup. It's still going sideways, kind of right through there. So I'm not interested in that trade. Pulls back, and then right here, see this small bar, it's low risk bar because it's so small. We already talked about how we have the congestion and the range. So prices basically broke below the range. So we're expecting it to come test the range breakout area. And then look at this, off this high, first entry. And then if it breaks above here, that's a second entry. So those are like 3 reasons I like that trade right there. And that one goes. We get the higher low here, but since it breaks above, this is our signal bar. It's not that great. And then it basically triggers right into the tops of the congestion. It's not a good that's not a good place to go long. Pulls back. Now you can see we're just kind of going sideways. Got to be real careful. And if you've been trading all morning, there's zero reason to even risk. I mean, you've hit your profit target for the day. So once it starts getting choppy like this, it's going to be a lot easier to make a mistake. So I would have called it a day. So here's our new range. I just made that low the midline. You can see it fits pretty well, looks pretty symmetrical. So I'll probably be using that. It's a first entry to the high. It's a failed second entry short. But let's just wait for like a true second entry. You would have got something out of that, but let's just wait. The second entry happened here, but you kind of had a doji and you're on the wrong side of the range, so I'm not buying that. And it doesn't go far. And then right here you get a second entry short, first entry, second entry, and you notice how it sets up right on that midline. We've talked about this before. When it does that, it's going to be aggressive, but as long as it's on that midline, it typically works. So it's going to be an aggressive short. You see how we're turning down? We've had three tests. Tested it here and it rejected. Tested it here, it rejected. Now we have a nice signal bar with a second entry short. Let's just try to exit by these lows, and you get that no problem. So you have that bear bar at the lows of our range, just the first entry to the high. Gotta wait. Here's the second entry, but it's an inside bar. Not That's not the setup we want. But you get a nice push. See how the prices are moving? Just right in this range. Although it's moving a little bit, it's making lower lows. Just ever so slightly. Just making these slight moves lower. And it never quite gets as high as the previous highs, if you can see that. But you can see with that EMA, we're above, below, above, below, above. That's classic range. I definitely treat this as a range before I treat this as a downtrend. And the range is getting you good setups. So I wouldn't worry too much about the downtrend. Trying to mark up the downtrend, the range pretty much will take care of you. Let's get that midline in there. So you got that push lower. First entry to the highs, so you got to wait. Got to push higher. It's just nothing you can really do with this for now. Here's the higher low, but it sets up on the high side, so we're not going to take that. And since it broke above, this is our signal bar. It's not a good signal bar. And it breaks out the range. Now we need to see some sort of breakout pullback if we, take the setup. Keeps going. We still haven't pulled back at all until here. Here's the pullback. We're not gonna buy this at the highs, even though it's a failed second entry short. You're a tick from the high. That's not the place. So what we'll do though is let's see if it breaks above. I'll put this trend channel there. Breaks above, and then I'll put that line right there, and then maybe we'll get a breakout and a retest of the highs, and we can find something to buy. And you see that would have worked, but that is ultra aggressive to buy that. Given the context of the day, you might, but I'm not. And that's 215 right there. So that would have been the day. Um, some really good trades early, all through here. You could tell I kind of overdid it over there, but really good trades today. If you just were patient and you waited for the right setup. So that's pretty much what I saw. With all this news, I mean, there's going to be big moves. So, just be mindful, but they'll be there. So once you see the setup with the price action behind it, I would just take it. I would just take it. So, and I think for me, just to improve my trading, I really disliked looking at my chart and seeing all these entries. I could have done much better taking 2 less trades. Um, it's a lot of work to make, $150. 2 less trades, and you could have made almost 250 or 300. So, really, I need to dial in on holding my swing and using my rules to hold my swings, because you see how um, we got half of the way there. So if I would have just held 1 or 2 of these, I would have really gotten most, not really most, but I've gotten a decent amount. And then over here, you got more than you even anticipated. But yeah, just I need less trades, more profit. That's the goal for the week. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Of course, I'm gonna be back again tomorrow. I'll be back in Los Angeles tomorrow, so we'll be back to kind of like normal. Well, I won't be back until the afternoon. So on Friday will be kind of like a normal day. But until then, you know where to find me, right here on these charts. Kamal Hart, out.